going on, guys? This is Gene Jensen. It's time for Friday Night Live. Talking about cutting it close. 5 minutes ago, I was mowing my lawn. My wife came out and said, "Hey, you might want to get off that thing." So I did. But anyway, so I got grass all over my shorts. I was weed eating at the time. So anyway, we're gonna let a few people get on. We're gonna jump on here, and then we're gonna knock some stuff out. It'll be pretty cool. I didn't make any announcements on social media, so it may take just a few seconds. Oh. Let's see. If this is your first time watching my Friday Night Lives or any of my videos, be sure you subscribe. Hit that little bell so you get notifications, all that other jazz, and we'll knock it out. There we go. Must have got all the alerts out. People are starting to jump on. What's going on, guys? Be sure to say hi in the comments. I'm going to check one thing real quick while I'm thinking about it, and so I don't forget. Goodness gracious. Let's see if I knew what I was doing. There we go. There we go. Who's jumping on here? What's going on, Nick? How's it going, man? It's going to take a little bit to get all the notifications out, people to jump on. But let me do an Instagram story. Ooh. There we go. Just getting the word out, guys. I'm running a little bit late. I was mowing my lawn until about 5 minutes ago. I had the weed eater going. My wife came out, and I felt her presence. And she reminded me that I had Friday Night Live. So I'm getting some stuff out there real quick. If I could spell. Done. That should work. Nick says, I bought some flukes and now I'm coming for your title. I love it, man. I love it. You can have that title. I tried to get rid of it 7 years ago or 8 years ago, and I just couldn't do it. Oh, man. Man, there we go. Now everybody's jumping on. What's going on, guys? What's going on? Colby, hey, man. Thomas Willie's going on, man. Gustav, good to see everybody on here. Caleb says, I'm a simple man. I see Flukemastr and I click. This is going to be just us shooting the crap tonight, guys. I don't have anything planned. I did finally get to go fishing today. I got all of my yard work done. My boat's got a little bit more work to do. It's not ready to go, so I threw the kayaks in the water. And the thumbnail that you guys saw is a fish I caught about 4 hours ago, maybe 5. In the middle of the heat of the evening or the afternoon, dragging a worm, just like I like to do this time of the year. And they were offshore, so I had my son with me. He was right next to me. I caught that 8.5, and he caught about a 5 right after that while I was working with that 8.5. So yeah, I just a matter of fact, me and him start our very first KBF state. What do they call it? The challenges is what they are. It's a 1 month long challenge where the best 5 for the whole month wins. I think there's like 17 people that entered this month in Georgia, so I'm pretty excited. He is too. He's more excited than I am. So Crawford Fight, thanks, man. He says congrats on Gunnersville. You did pretty dang good, man. That was a special bite. That was one of those things where, you know, I did a lot of pre-fishing in my boat a couple of weeks before, and I basically all I did was just narrow down what part of the lake I wanted to fish. And then 3 days before the tournament, I dropped the kayak in after spending a few days away from the lake. Dropped the kayak in and just started fishing. And I didn't find that pattern or those fish until the end of the first day of pre-fishing out of my kayak. So it was a lot of fun. And you know, I'm here to tell you, a boat really isn't a huge advantage when you're fishing kayak tournaments. I mean, you can make it that big of an advantage, but I'm not going to. So. But down here, summer patterns are starting to work. They've moved out offshore. They're on drops and hard points and things like that. So You guys are going to see some pretty good videos coming up. But a lot of you guys who don't know, a lot of guys know, hey Alex, what's going on, man? You guys go, when we get off of here, go watch Alex Rudd's video. It's the video of me catching a 5-pound, 3-ounce smallmouth flipping on seawalls. But anyway, and he just launched it, I think today or yesterday. I watched it this morning anyway. Let's see. Thomas Willie says my kayak was hit by a boater Wednesday. I hope he has insurance or something, dude. I hope you figure that out and get him to pay for it. Me and my dad were flipping up some bass today with rage bugs on docks this morning. That's what I'm talking about. Goodness. Carrie, how's it going? Killing in the past few days. Hope it keeps up tomorrow for my tourney. Yeah, dude. It should be really good. The weather has been really stable, at least here in the south. I'm excited about tomorrow. My son and I left them biting today. We were catching big ones, and like I said, we've got that KBF Challenge tournament that's a month long, so that'll be pretty cool. Joseph, thanks for the $5. Says fish in the wind. Should you fish with the wind or against the wind? Honestly, it depends on what you're fishing. If I've got a ton of wind, I'm going to throw things that I can fish into the wind, like a lipless crankbait, and a lipless crankbait, and a lipless crankbait. It's about the only thing I like to throw into the wind. But if I'm dragging something, if I feel like the fish wants something dragging, then I'm going to go and cast away from the wind, just mainly so I can feel the bite. But yeah, dude. Let's see. Sorry, I got grass in my eyes. Like I said, guys, a lot of you guys don't know, I just finished mowing the grass. Literally 5 minutes before I started, so. Stephen Guthrie, what's going on, man? Do you like the color Watermelon Magic? I caught my first fish, just wondering if you ever used it. I do. I love Watermelon Magic, and I love Green Pumpkin Magic. Green Pumpkin more so. Around here, it tends to work a little bit better. More in Texas and the southern Midwest area, I find that watermelon seems to work a little bit better. But let's see. Do you get insurance on your kayaks? Yes, I do. I have insurance on everything that has to do with my business. Found a slough today that was loaded with fish. Saw several bass, gar, and brim. What would you suggest to throw at them? I've always wanted to catch a gar. Gar are actually a lot of fun to catch. Go watch a video. Seriously, I can try to explain it, and it may or may not make sense, but go watch a video on how to catch gar. And you're looking for a lure that's made out of cotton rope. No hooks, no nothing, just cotton rope. There's a bunch of videos about that, and it's pretty cool. And you also need to make something that you can get that cotton rope out of their teeth with. You'll have to watch, man. It's so cool, though. Live from some random brick room. It's Friday Night Live. It's not random. This is my office. Hey, guys, look. I want to show you this picture. It's been behind me for over a year. This is my #1 fan. His name is Daniel. He lives in South Carolina. I have not talked to him in over a year. In this picture, he was 25 years old. He almost passed away not this past year, the year before last. But every time I look at that picture, I think he's an amazing kid. And that was 5 years ago we took that picture. So, fish are pre-spawn in Vermont still. Actually, I wish I was fishing pre-spawn right now. It'd be nice and cool. It was hotter anyway, it was hot today. Boats and kayaks or light cars in motorcycles you have to keep on a swivel. Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, Larry. Definitely. You got to keep your head on a swivel. I use a big flag. I have the American flag that hangs behind me when I'm on a big boat lake. I'm always got a flag on me, and usually not a problem. If a boater gives me a hard time, which it's only happened once and it really wasn't that big of a deal, but I've heard of stories of boaters trying to tip people's kayaks. Get your camera out, start videoing it, turn those boat numbers in, and let the authorities take care of it from there, because they will. Especially in Tennessee, I've seen it happen twice. Any chance you do a video with Jake Fromm or other dogs, present or past? You know, I really could. I know Jake Fromm's not watching this, But I've got a mutual friend that's a friend of Jake Fromm's, and I've also sent Jake an Instagram message. Of course, he didn't respond, but I'll have to try to look into that. I do have a very, very famous NFL player that wants to go fishing with me. I may have to haul butt to go see him, but definitely want to go do that. Man, he's been hitting me up for about 6-8 months now. Actually, been hitting each other up. What's a good bait casting setup to start with? Staying about, for the bait caster itself, staying about the $60-$70 range, and for a good rod, $40, $50, $60. I hate to say that much if it's just a beginner's type deal, but I hate the frustration of using a reel and a rod that are less than that. You don't get good hook sets. You end up throwing it in the trash in about 6 to 8 months, or it sits on the shelf and gathers dust. But I find in that $60 to $70 range, you find a pretty good one. 13 has a really good one, the Origin A, and the Origin, I think the Origin C is like $100. It may not 80 or 100, but the Origin A is a really good reel. I still use a few of them, and they're not frustrating, and they act like they're going to last for a long time. I haven't beat them up yet. Let's just say that. So. What's a versatile rod for the SZ to catch reds in the Gulf? I use a medium heavy 7'6", mainly because a 7'6" medium heavy tends to be a little bit more limber and has more give. So when they make that initial just all out run, you can hang on to it and it won't break your line. 20-pound test fluorocarbon or braid, depending on the water clarity. I know on the Gulf Coast or on the Atlantic coast, it's really clear. In other places, it can be really clear as well, but depending on the water clarity is what I pick my line. But yeah, definitely so. Phantom fishing, best post-spawn plastic style and weight. A worm, ribbon tail worm or straight tail worm. I like big, giant ribbon tail worms in the summertime. Post-spawn, I'm going to go more top water, that kind of stuff. Depends on what they're feeding on. But right now, we are well past the spawn, and the fish are out in the middle of the lake, and I'm dragging a worm is basically what I'm doing. I literally went fishing today, and I took 3 rods. One had a Ned rig, one had a Texas rig, and one had a lipless just in case. I never picked up the lipless. Threw those 2, got hooked up on one on the Ned rig, put it down, and then caught giants on a worm. Man, you guys are just tearing it up with the freaking questions tonight. That's awesome. I know you get this a lot, but any word on tactical and you doing a video? I have not heard from Matt. I know he's here on the East Coast. I have been so stinking slam busy, and that I haven't had a chance to contact him, and he hasn't contacted me. But I'm definitely going to try. I just need to slow down a little bit. But the kids just got out of school. My wife's got surgery in a couple of weeks, and we'll just have to see. So. Hey, Flukemastr just bought a couple of Gary Yamamoto plastic flukes. Do you think about those? What do you think about those? Have an opinion. I have never used them. I know Gary Yamamoto plastics are great. They don't last very long. So I would think a jerk bait or a soft jerk bait style that you're popping it a lot would tear up a little bit faster than what I would want it to. That's just me thinking about what that plastic is made out of. Maybe they stiffened it up a little bit. I don't know. So... best topwater in summer, spook or buzzbait? Dude, that's hard to say, Kevin. I like a buzzbait early in the morning. There are times on clear lakes that a buzzbait really shallow will work in the middle of the summer or middle of the day on a sunny day. But that's rare. It's got to be grass present, that kind of stuff. But I like a spook in open water and where they're schooling and pushing bait, and I like a buzz bait when they're not doing that, basically. But for me, a buzz bait starts to shine more in the fall as they push shallow. But you can find them early in the morning in the summertime on a buzz bait. Whopper plopper we get too. Andrew Hirons says, so as getting back into fishing this year, I'm getting back into fishing this year. I have 3 rod and reel combos, 2 7 foot medium heavy bait casting combos, which are good, and one 6'9" spinning combo. Should I need any more than that for bass fishing? Not to start with. That's perfect, dude. Really. The 7-foot medium heavy should be perfect for anything that's on the list of my beginning tackle box. So go watch that beginning tackle box video. Spinner bait, jig, shaky head, that kind of stuff. And then that spinner rod ought to be good for a shaky head and finesse baits. Put on those medium heavies, put 15-pound test on one and 20-pound on the other, or 17-pound depending. It really doesn't matter. And then the spinning rod, put 10 to 8-pound test on the spinning rod, and you should be good. That's awesome, man. Josh Wilson. So I went on my kayak and went in the middle of the lake, and I'm from Tennessee, so I threw a 10XD and I couldn't get one. What should I do? When you're out fishing in the middle of the lake, it has, and I don't know the whole story, but it has more to do with the type of structure that you're fishing. Drops, rock piles that are out deep, just hard bottom, big humps that have shell on the top, that kind of stuff. It's not where, it's more exactly where you are cranking. And that's all about structure fishing. That's one of those things that's very, very difficult to teach in a video. One of those things that I'm going to try to do this year with my, now that I've got fish finders and a fish finder contract with Raymarine and that kind of stuff, I'm really going to try to do a whole lot of offshore structure type videos as soon as my boat's ready. And it's not ready yet. I'm still trying to get a mount for the two fish finders that are going on the console. I'm getting a custom mount made for that, so I don't have to jerry rig what's up there. I got a couple other things going. It's just slow because this is a busy time of the year for everybody, so it's hard to get things done fast. Let's see, Real Nautical Fishing. That's a cool name. Hey brother, what's your opinion on the moon cycles and fishing conditions? I'll tell you, dude, I use an app, and I did not believe in feeding times until Chad Hoover basically threatened me within an inch of my life to keep track. And I basically kept track of when I was catching fish and then went back and looked at the feeding times. And I use an app called Bass Forecast, and it gives me the, if I can get it into focus, there we go. It's backwards, but it gives me the feeding times is what it does, and gives me the prime and the peak times and the down times and everything else. Gives me an idea, and it takes the weather and everything else and puts it in and tells you whether it's going to be decent fishing or not. So tomorrow says it's going to be epic. So my son's pretty excited about that. But and I keep track, and I find that on great days you're going to catch fish all day long, but during that period of time you're going to catch more fish. You want to make sure you're on your best spots during that period of time. And like I said, I didn't believe that until a couple of years ago. What rod and line should I use for flipping and pitching cover? If you're flipping and pitching, I'm assuming it's fairly thick cover. A heavy action 7'4", 7'3", somewhere around there rod. I use I use a fake chrome that I love. A high-speed reel, 8:1 gear ratio, mainly so you can get it back to you, make another pitch, and get into each of those little bitty spots. I think I sucked in some grass. And if you're not worried about, you usually aren't worried about the fish seeing your line, so 50 to 65 pound braid is what I would use, and a heavy hook. Man. Thanks, Steven. Appreciate it, man. Stefan's a freaking stud. Hi, Gene. Do you ever get a chance to fish in Canada, specifically Ontario? Not in many, many years. I fished northern Quebec when I graduated high school. My dad took me on a trip up there, catching Arctic char, and then we went to do some caribou hunting. So, Thomas Hilker asked me, is my dog okay? Amazingly, my dog is just fine. He had a rough weekend, and that's why I didn't have Friday Night Live last Friday, because I was still taking care of him. But he got into some rat poison, and luckily I saw his condition and immediately knew what it was, or had a feeling I knew what it was. Took it to the vet. That we medicated him. We didn't have to do any blood transfusions. $700 later, and he's doing just fine. So, thanks for asking, man. By the way, let's see. Adrian Warfield, good spinning combo versus good jig combo. Basically, what are the 4 most important rods on your kayak in order? Wow. I don't know about in order because they are all important because I'll switch around with them throughout the day depending on the bite. But I always make sure I have a spinning rod with 8-pound test fluorocarbon leader, 20-pound test braided. Seaguar's got that new high vis line that's really, really good. It's the Smackdown, which is what I've been using for years, just a different color. Spinning rod, a medium fast action rod, and if I'm cranking, it's going to be a medium moderate, but a medium fast action, a medium heavy, and a heavy, and I may have another medium heavy. So a heavy action, 7'3", 7'4", 7'6", medium heavy, a medium fast, and a spinning rod are the 4 I make sure, and I usually have 2 medium heavies on there. So. The Duxter just got a 107. That's awesome, man. My son got to paddle with me in his 107 today. That was a lot of fun. Zamora Outdoor says, I'm finally confident about my ability to use my baitcaster. Now I'd like to invest in real good spinning combo. What would you suggest? Now I use a $200 spinning reels because 13 Fishing sent me $200 spinning reels, and they're awesome. They're great. If you can afford them, get them. But I always tell you, dude, spinning reels, the good quality ones are somewhere, the really good quality ones are somewhere between $70 and $100. 13 makes some really good ones. Lew's makes some good ones. The $100 one that I use is the Creed GT. I love, but the Creed K is a really good one. It's aluminum. It's it's made of metal. There's not a whole lot of plastic parts in there, which is amazing that they can do that at like $65, $70. So. Check those out. Lew's makes good ones. And the other ones I really don't have a whole lot of experience with. Any help on what size battery for my 30-pound Minn Kota? Bought a Group 27 and it's so heavy I hate it. Oh, man. I'm not sure. I don't know a lot about batteries. I usually just go with, I keep replacing the ones that I've got with the ones that, the ones that look exactly like it. But I haven't had a 40-pound thrust in a long time. If you don't like the weight, just get a lighter one. The lithium ones are great, but they're $1,000. But if you can afford them, get them. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't know a lot about batteries, and I can hem and haw about it all day long. But I'll be honest with you, you might want to look that up and do a little bit of research. Should I purchase the new flex wings for my Bonafide SS107? I just got them in the mail today. The new flex wings are great. I've been testing the beta ones, which are awesome. Well, the new flex wings are a little bit stiffer, which is I'm excited about because they should hold even better. So I should have replaced them and put some on there tonight. I may have to do that at 5 o'clock in the morning before I go fishing. But yeah, dude, they're worth it. They're awesome. They keep your boat going straight. It's great. The frustrated fisherman, thanks, man. See below. I don't know what to talk about. The frustrated fisherman. Let me look for your comment. There it is. During summer months in a lake with no points or ledges. No points or ledges? Really? To speak of, where should I target during summer? 90-degree outside, 80-degree water. To be honest with you, where I would start is where the deepest water in the lake, or deep water in whatever area, I don't know how big your lake is, but whatever area of the lake you're fishing, is the closest to the shore. And that'll give you the steepest bank. It'll also give you the hard bottoms. You're looking for rock piles. You're looking for shell beds maybe. You're looking for raw logs and that kind of stuff. Things that the fish are going to hold on that are hard structure and hard cover is what I would look for, especially in the summertime. And the deeper the better, especially if you already have 80-degree water temperature. If there's grass, they're going to be in the grass. If there's grass, they're going to be in. I mean, there's no other way of putting it. They're just going to be in that grass. So, hey Fluke, do you plan on fishing any more tournaments in the future? I'm actually starting the monthly challenges, the KBF monthly challenges tomorrow. I'm doing the month of June. It's basically my best 5 fish for during the month of June. Main reason I'm doing it is to get my son into kayak tournaments. Jordan, him and I rigged up a kayak today. We went out fishing. He caught a 5 and a 4. And yesterday we entered him into the KBF tournaments, and he's excited about it. So we're going to give him the whole month to just kind of get his feet wet with kayak tournaments. So I figured I'd jump in there with him. So I'm excited about it because he's gonna love it. He's a competitor anyway. So that's about the only one. Other than that, maybe the Spro Big Boat Tournament in October. I was going to fish the kayak tournament in August, but I've got something I've got to do out of town with my kids. So yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm reading something else. Let's see, Skylar, what is your next yak tournament? I watched one of them the other day, and that video was great, man. You tore them bad boys up. Got 53 fish, man. It was pretty awesome, or 54. Hello from Montreal, Canada. What do you think about Kayak Old Town Topwater 120? If that is the only boat that you can afford, get it. If you can afford one that's better, look for that one. But the biggest thing is go paddle them first. If you haven't had a chance to paddle one, get in there. Go to your paddle shop, borrow one from somebody that's close by that owns one, and just go paddle it for a few minutes and see what you think. Every kayak is different for every person. So I made the mistake of buying my first kayak, and 2 trips later I sold it to my brother-in-law because I could not stand it, and I think he hung it in the garage and never used it. So ever fished Lake Champlain or any other New England lakes? I've not. Let's see. I did fish the Niagara River a few weeks ago, though. First kayak tournament Sunday. When is it to send in pictures? When's it okay to send in pictures of the catch? I'm not sure, man. Sea Ghost Rider, what's going on, man? I'm sorry, I was zoning. Nick, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name. ABZXYZ. What? The Walmart in my area has a 13 spinning combo. I know which one you're talking about. The one that's got green and chrome. I was thinking about trying it, but didn't want to form an opinion on a cheap combo. I can't remember the reel on it. It's really good for the price. But it is a cheap combo, and I'm sponsored by them. But I'm gonna tell you, it's better than the price that Walmart's selling them for. I think they're selling them for $50. I remember $49.99. And when I felt one at iCast, it felt like about a $70 combo. So you should be doing all right. So let's see. How long did it take your son to bring the boat back to you the other day? 3 hours. But I kept an eye on him the whole time. So, let's see. What kind of fishing line can you use? Now, if you're on a budget, look up Izorline Triple X copolymer is a really inexpensive, really good line. You just have to change it out more than I normally do with my fluorocarbon or braid. And I use fluorocarbon, which is Seaguar Smackdown. No, that's the braid. Is a Seaguar in a Brazex is what I use for my fluorocarbon, and my braid is Smackdown are the 2 brands and models that I use. So they're not. That's not the cheapest line, but because I do this for a living and I got to catch a lot of fish, I like to have some of the best stuff out there. And I've been using Seaguar for 16 years or so. So it's something I always have believed in. Want to fish a kayak tournament? What would be the minimum number of rods, and what would they be? Minimum number, and I've got a really good video on this. I use 4 rods minimum. A spinning rod, it's a medium light or medium action spinning rod. A medium fast action bait caster, medium heavy bait caster, and a heavy bait caster are the ones that I personally use. And I'll have I usually run 6 rods on my boat. The other 2 will be depending on what I'm fishing or what I feel like I'm going to be fishing. I may have duplicates of one of those rods or 2 of those rods. Chuck, are you ever going to fish from your bass boat, or are you all about kayaks now? Chuck, I have a brand new Alumacraft Pro 185 sitting in my yard right now. I got it unrigged, and unfortunately, I was because we were waiting on the new Evinrude 115 E-Tech that just came out. Literally, I've got one of the first ones. I had it just before it actually doesn't come out till the end of this month. But I got the whole boat here unrigged, so I'm waiting on a few things before I can get it out on the water and get it out there safely. And so until then, it's going to sit right there. I've got all the wires run. I've got everything else, and my rigger and all the guys that normally do this for me are so busy right now that it's just taking me a lot longer. So, dude, I'm still fishing out of a boat. I've got a brand new one, and I'm just waiting for everything to be right before I can get it in there. It's got no navigation. It's got nothing. So in the lakes I fish, you've got to have navigation or you run up in the shallow water and die. So great question, man. Appreciate it. I love the boat, man. I can't wait to show it to you guys. Taking my 7-year-old son out for his first fishing tournament tomorrow on the Lanier. Any tips? To be honest with you, let him fish, really. Don't get, if you find yourself getting stressed out, sit down, eat a sandwich. Drink something, not a beer, but drink something, and be patient and have a whole lot of fun with him, and make it exciting for him. Is exactly what I would do. So the Dukester says copolymer has been great for me lately. The memory is higher than expected, but tolerable. Yes, you're absolutely right. Especially if I find when I'm using like a Texas rig or something, and I'm holding my rod really tight, and that angle of the line coming out of the tip of the rod is really, really steep, I even get more and more curly cues on it. And that's the nature of copolymer. And it tends to be a little bit, it doesn't bother me much. And you're right, it's pretty tolerable. Busy Bert says, hey Gene, you are the man. I'm always watching, always following. And if I don't know something, I specifically look for your specific how-to videos. You've been a big help. Thanks. Appreciate it, Busy, man. Appreciate it. Oh, Bert, sorry. That's awesome, man. When is the best time to use a whopper plopper? I like them better on windy days. I would have used one this morning because it was blowing about 10, 20 miles an hour. But I didn't get out there till later in the afternoon. So, Kevin Gray, dude, where you been? I've been traveling. I've been on the road. I was on the road for 14 days, came home. My dog got into some rat poison just before I came home. Took him to the vet. Nursed him for about a week. Last Friday, I didn't have Friday Night Live because a lot of stuff was going on, including taking care of my dog. And so, yeah, that's where I've been, man. I got a bunch of videos that I just sent to my editor from my trip, waiting on them to come back. And I still have like 5 more I haven't sent him. So you're going to see a whole bunch of videos from that trip. Oh, it's a kids tournament. That's awesome, man. I just bought the SS-127, waiting for it to arrive. What are some must-haves extra for it? Okay, Donald, I'm going to tell you number one, and I'm pretty sure somebody already told you this, but I'm going to tell you. If you're having it delivered, see, they don't, most of the times, those, the Bonafides are delivered by a delivery company. Inspect your boat before you sign for it. Make sure that it's not damaged. I wish to heck I had the time and the money and the ability to start a shipping company for kayaks. And Stefan, if you're still on here, listen to me. Whoever can start a independent shipping company that can ship kayaks for companies will make a killing, because these other companies that are doing it are they're just the vein of they just suck. Okay, but anyway, check that. Things you must have extra for it: an anchor wizard. An anchor, a black pack or a crate or something like that, and a paddle PFD, of course. And that's it, really, to start with. But an anchor is key. It just makes it so much easier to fish out of. Matter of fact, I just installed one on my son's just so he can be able to fish a little bit better tomorrow. So, Skylar Barron, be honest, have you ever flipped over in your kayak? No. I haven't. I have fallen out of my kayak once, and I did it a few months ago. I dropped a radio in the water, and I reached down to grab it as it was bobbing up, and then it started to sink just before I got to it. And I kept leaning, and realized that I had leaned too far, so I threw myself in the water to keep my kayak from flipping over. So it can be done, but I have not flipped in my kayak. Let's see. It's topwater season in Massachusetts. I missed so many frog hook sets. Any tips on things to think about? There's a few things, and I'm going to go through all the rules for setting a hook on a frog. Have a heavy action rod, 50 to 65 pound braided line. When you get a hook set, bow to the fish, count to 2, 1, 2, bam. And when you set the hook, act like you're trying to rip that fish's mouth off, and you will get the hook set. If you miss on that fish, have a follow-up bait. Have a Texas rig worm or creature bait or something, and throw right back at that same exact spot, and you'll catch that fish. Noah, how often do you fish Rocky Mountain? I fished it today and caught that one. So, as often as I can, man, especially when I'm home. That was 8.5 pounder, by the way. Can you give us your opinion on the bass boat industry? I'm tired of trying to justify spending that kind of money, really leaning towards a kayak. If you fish big lakes and you're not comfortable fishing in a small boat in big lakes, then don't get a kayak. But if you have access to rivers and small backwaters, and even I fish big lakes in mine because I feel comfortable with it. But get a kayak. My boat baseline for my Pro 185 that I fish out of all the time, base price is somewhere around $20,000. And so, but with a 115, top of the line motor, I'm guessing somewhere around the high 20s. I could be totally wrong, but that's me guessing. So that's why I use an aluminum boat, because it's less expensive to buy. It's less expensive to run all day long. And I'll tell you right now, that Pro 185 with that Evinrude 115 on it sips gas to the point where I went from a big bass boat with a big motor spending $100 a day on gas to that one spending less than $30 a day on towing and on gas on the lake, doing the same thing I was doing with the big boat. So I passed somebody, I was fishing coming in from Guntersville the other day, or a few months ago, and I saw one of those new $100,000 Rangers. Why would somebody buy a $100,000 Ranger? Anyway, guess what he was doing? Same thing I was doing, fishing. And I had a $20,000 boat. So it is what it is, man. Can you stand up and fish easily in your kayak? Yes, I can, Big Red Bass. That 127 is so stable. Actually, somebody commented about that a few months ago when I put out a video of me fishing out of my kayak, and he says, you really don't ever worry about falling out of your kayak, do you? I was like, nope, sure don't. It's just one of those things, and I know what to do if I do fall out. Like that one time, you just throw yourself out. And then if you guys buy a kayak, my biggest thing, especially now that the water's warmed up, go out with nothing in your kayak, with your PFD, with your paddle, and go out and get in the water and practice getting back into your kayak without being able to touch the bottom, is what I would tell you. It's an open water re-entry is what you need to practice. Practice that one, because that one will save your life if you ever fall out in cold water. Where you just gotta, you're basically, you throw Chad's got a really good video on it. It shows his butt crack because I was filming it. But you throw yourself across your kayak and then you flip over and you sit back up into it. So, let's see. Nick says, I've been using a retractable dog leash and a 5-pound kettlebell for an anchor, and it is a great, and it works. Dude, yeah, I love the freaking kettlebell. I use the Anchor Wizard, but I use the retractable dog leash for my lure retriever. So Preston Walsh. I'm not gonna pronounce your last name. Woo! Combo versus buying rod and reel separate. Is there a giveaway? Oh, okay, that's what you're saying. If you're beginning, and this is how I began by buying Bass Pro Shops combos, and it was their mid-range ones, $100 combos, $70 combos. Best thing I ever did, because I could, with saving money and stuff like that, I could buy 4, 5, or 6 combos. But if you're, for right now, once you start to get serious, get away from buying combos, because you usually get a decent reel with a piece of crap rod is what normally happens. And so as soon as you can get away from buying combos, buy the rod that you want and buy the reel that you want and put it on that rod, and you will be more than happy. So Lou Vang, Mikey Balls. I have to remember that. I got to get a hold of him. Man, that would be so much fun. I've been a fan of his for so many years. It's not since the beat up boat that he had many, many years ago, and he doesn't live too far away from me, so I guess we're going to have to make it happen. Just a lot going on in my life right now, so having a hard time even getting out and going and doing a lot of fishing. But that's about to change. What did you think about Chad putting all his stickers on your truck? I don't even want to talk about it. I was in the freaking, where was I? I was in the parking lot at a Chinese restaurant, and I kept finding them. He had, 8 to 12 stickers all over my freaking wrap. I'm glad I saw them when I did, because it had gotten hot. I had never gotten those stickers off my wrap. Let's see. What length kayak would you recommend? I think my buddy's is 12. Nothing less than 12. Unless you're getting SS 107, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. I don't trust a 10-foot boat, and I didn't until I got into the 107, and it is super stable. Still not my favorite boat, but it's still a super stable 10-foot boat. So 12 foot or 11 and a half, around 12, unless you're going to get a Bonafide SS 107, which is 10 foot 7 inches, and that one's just as stable as a 12-footer. So I just don't trust 10-footers. I haven't been in one yet that didn't scare the crap out of me. Well, when did you have a fiberglass boat? I have only been following the channel for about 2 years. Before YouTube, long time ago. And then I borrowed a couple of them from like JJ from JJ's Magic and stuff like that over the years. But yeah, that was before videos, before video cameras. Let's see. Currently using a $13 rod and reel combo and wanting a new combo as a beginner fisher. Any suggestions or tips? What I just said, go to Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's and look at their mid-range combos is what I would do. 13 Fishing sells some really good combos on their website. There's a decent combo for sale at Walmart right now. That's a 13 Fishing. It's green and chrome. But it's a spinning reel. I don't know if they got the baitcasters there or not. But anyway, that's what I would do. Practice. My lake has recently been drained a couple of feet, and it's 90 degrees here in Georgia. Any advice on catching bass off the dock? I have been fishing for hours out there and barely any bites. Aaron, all the fish, when they do that, especially, I know which lake you're talking about, they move out into the middle of the lake is where they move. They move out because they're afraid they're going to run out of water. So they go find the deepest water and the steepest banks that they can get to feel safe as that water drops. So, let's get rid of the spammer. See ya. Any tips to free up space to do more fishing since there are so many championship parades in Boston? I don't know. Do you ever still use a Clark hammock? Yes, I do. I was in one not too long ago. I love my Clark Jungle hammock. It is the Cadillac of hammocks. The biggest thing I love about it, especially this time of the year, is the mosquitoes can't bite through the bottom. And so I really don't worry about getting eaten up while I'm sleeping. And boy, I have. Goodness gracious, I have. I have recently been getting into fly fishing, and some people take the barbs off. Do you ever do anything with the barbs when you are fishing for bass? Not so much for bass. I do when I'm catching a lot of fish, like a lot of bluegill that I'm catching, releasing just to make the hook easier to get out. But not so much for bass. I never have seen a reason to. Their mouths are pretty tough. They're pretty resilient fish. So, and I understand with trout because trout's mouths are really, really soft, and it's you can mess up a lot of you can mess a trout up really because it's got a small mouth and everything else. You can mess them out pretty bad with a big barb. What caused you to leave Bass Resource? I left Bass Resource because YouTube got so busy. I wasn't giving Bass Resource enough time. Is the reason why I left. Why I stopped working for them. I hated to leave that. It was a good time. And then a couple of year or two down the road, can't remember what was the time frame, but a mutual acquaintance explained to me how jealous the owner of Bass Resource was of what I had accomplished, and I guess he felt like I did it on his back or whatever. I don't know. And so it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But there's a good website, man. I owe a lot to it. I learned a whole lot from Bass Resource back in the day when forums were the thing. So, do you have any experience with the Abu Garcia Rebo SX? Not the new ones. The only one I have. Oh, is that SX or is that CX? Dang it, I can't remember. But no, I don't. Not in a long time. I have the original ones, and I love them. But I hear that the as they got each generation got worse and worse. What is the disadvantages to using line heavier than the suggested capacity on an open spinning reel? The only disadvantage of it is most spinning reels don't handle like heavy line really well, like 17, 20-pound test line, unless it's a really big spinning reel. The other disadvantage is just line capacity, really. But you'll find that you just get a really bad cast with them with heavier line. How do I feel about Zoom swamp crawlers? I only used them a few times. They're really good shaky worms, but that's the only way I've ever used them. I've often been told to fish areas where bass have easy or close access to deep water. What is close access? 10 feet, 50 feet? It all depends on the area. The way I explain it is fish where the shallowest water is closest to the deepest water is what I tell you. Just the steeper banks if you're bank fishing. If you're not bank fishing, like if I've got a point, I'm going to start off fishing the steeper side of that point where the deepest water is closest to the shallowest water on that point. It just all depends, man. But that's kind of what they're talking about. The bass aren't going to be far from the deep water, so you fish the steeper part of whatever you're fishing. So, have I ever been to Lake Jackson, Aaron? If you're talking about Lake Jackson in Georgia, I have. I grew up in Covington, so been there lots and lots and lots of times. Back when it was a really good giant largemouth lake. So, any opinion on the Cast King pedigree bait casting rods? I will give you my opinion on Cast King. They keep copying 13 Fishing because they can't come up with their own original ideas and original colors. They use the same handles, the same colors. Every time 13 does something, it seems within 3 months, Cast King comes out with something very similar. That's my opinion on Cast King. Having a tough time getting reaction bites on moving baits. Any tips to get more bites? Man, I wish I could remember what I titled that video. But use a very inconsistent retrieve. So for reaction bait, I'm thinking, crankbait, swim jig, spinnerbait, that kind of stuff. Start, stop, jerk your rod a little bit, pump your rod, just make it do some crazy stuff, and you'll find that you'll get more bites. I've got a video about it. I just can't remember the title of it, where I talk about the different ways that you can get reaction strikes with reaction baits. So, do you have any advice for kayak fishing through currents and winds? I'm using a cheap fishing kayak and it's hard to fish through waves. Whew. That's the biggest reason why I like having a more expensive kayak or a better quality kayak that's better designed because it can cut through them better. But if you got if you got an inexpensive one, you're limited. You really are limited, especially in safety. If you've got a lot of water getting into your kayak and it's a sit inside, go get off the water. Don't push it, and fish the conditions that you can with that kayak. If you are in a dangerous situation, get out, is what I would say. I don't, but if you insist on fishing it, wear your PFD, use an anchor, and just figure out how to make that kayak work in those winds. So, Sea Ghost, love the X-Zone soft plastics, by the way. Oh yeah, dude, X-Zone is freaking sick. I've got to make a video about that, and it's actually a paid video, so you guys will see it. But I've really been impressed with that line of soft plastics. If you guys haven't tried X-Zone, go to Fish USA. They carry some of it. I know that. But dude, for a new company, they came out with the right stuff. I'm not saying they're the best thing since sliced cheese and biscuits, man. I'm just saying that they came out with the right stuff, the right types of baits, and the plastic's good. Everything's good about it. It's, they're not like my confidence stuff. They're not a rage bug. They're not the kind of stuff that I use all the time, but they are a good company with good baits, and you can't go wrong with that good quality. So you'll see a video about it here shortly. Might even film one tomorrow. Let's see. What's your favorite handle grip for a reel? Foam, wind, etc. I really like EVA foam grips, and I like the big ones. This spinner reel has one on it. I like the big ones like this because I've got big thumbs, big fat thumbs and fingers, and big hands. And I used to put those reel grips on them, those little things that slide over to make the grips bigger. But I don't have to with 13 fishing reels because most of them have big grips on them. So pretty dang pleased with it. Hey bud, how do you store your plastics on the kayak? I usually have one big Ziploc bag that I put my plastics in, and I repack my plastics more than I repack anything else. I'll pull them all out and I'll put new ones, different ones in depending on the conditions or what I figured out in pre-fishing or whatever. I did that today. Pulled out an empty bag and started putting my summertime colors in it, and the baits that I have confidence in the summertime. I took those out, caught that big 8.5 pound bass on one of them. So Tequila Sunrise is one of my favorite summertime colors. Anything pink. Let's see. How do you like the Bonafide RS 117? Thinking of getting the wife one. It is worth every dang dime, dude. It is such a good $1,000 kayak. It's for me, the seat's a little low because I'm used to the 127. But dude, my wife loves it. My kids love it, and I don't mind paddling it. I just can't be in it for all day long because I've got a bad back. Matter of fact, that's why I'm leaning right now, is because my back's killing me. Let's see. Advice for river like lake reservoir. So I'm thinking it's a narrow reservoir. Lots of smallies, some largemouths. Should I target coves or go into the arms and travel along the banks? I would, at this point in time, carry on, knowing where you live, and I'm thinking it's one of the lakes that are close to where you live. I would start working the middle third of the creek arms and start in the middle third, work out to the mouth of it, and pay close attention to the steepest banks and then the points that are out from those, just out from the creek. Those fish are probably spawned out and they're working their way out of the creek. When's the next Minnesota trip? September, and when I go up for the Alumacraft Dealers Conference. What kind of fishing lures can you use to catch a bass? Oh, that's a loaded question, Chris. Chris, I'm going to tell you my best advice. And I've done a lot of work and research and study on this one, on this video, is go watch the video on the beginner bass fishing lures that I have. The best way to find it is go into my my playlists and look for the beginner series and start watching those, man. I'm serious. That list of videos has helped so many people, thousands of people, start bass fishing and be successful just by watching that list of videos, dude. I bet you there's 10 or 15 people watching right now that have done that. So, Stefan, are you going to be able to start taking people fishing this summer? I don't know. Haven't thought about it. It all depends, Stefan. It depends on how my wife's surgery goes in 2 weeks. Whether if I do anything, it's gonna be later, like in August. June and July is probably gonna be pretty much staying close to home. So just in case she needs me. So, um, are pink and yellow Cincos good? Saw some on clearance, and my lake is quite murky. No, I wouldn't use them in murky lakes. I typically have the most luck with pink ones and very clear lakes with spotted bass for some reason. How many poles do you usually take out on your kayak? 6 is what I typically had. I only had 3 today, and I did have a really good day, but I had a pretty good idea of what I needed to use. But 6 at the most. What's the best bait to use for reservoir bass fishing? It all depends on what the bass wants, John. That's the fun part about fishing, is being able to figure that out. It's all about putting the puzzle together. That's why we have so many lures. If there was a best lure, if there was a golden lure out there that always caught fish, there wouldn't be that many tackle companies. They'd all sell the same stinking lure. So, Brandon Wheaton, advice for West Michigan. Weather has been inconsistent all summer, 2 to 3 days of sun, trading with 2 to 3 days of cold rain. Yeah, dude, I was up there a few weeks ago. The best thing I can tell you to do is go and ask Ben Nowak. He lives up there. He knows that whole area like the back of his hand. He's a great YouTuber. Just look up Benjamin Nowak, and you'll find him, dude. He's awesome. And I spent like 6 days with him a couple of weeks ago. So, how can I catch fish in 90-degree weather with no boat? There's always bass shallow. The best thing to do is to find current. I've got some good summertime videos where I teach them out of a boat, but I'm talking about how to find oxygenated water. So windy banks, grass, any type of submerged vegetation, and deep water. If you can reach deep water from the bank, that's the 3 things that I'd be looking for. And current, like water running into the lake. If I've got a creek coming in, or even a drain after it rains, water coming off of the roads and stuff draining into the lake, that place right there will stir up a lot of water, stir up a lot of oxygen, and the fish will be there. So those are the places I look for. Let's see. Have you ever fished Arizona? I have not. Man, that'd be pretty cool. Hope all goes well with your wife's surgery. We will be praying for a successful surgery and smooth, speedy recovery. Thanks, Joyce. Appreciate it. God bless you. Are you familiar with Lake Dow in Georgia? No, I'm not. I didn't know there was a Lake Dow. I'll have to look that up. Man, I thought I knew all the lakes in Georgia. Best bait for Savannah River bass fishing? I don't know. What did I used to catch? Shaky head's what I always caught them on. Of course, that's all I was throwing back then. The green pumpkin shaky head. I'd pull into the sloughs and start fishing. So, are you going to do more videos about teaching kids to fish? My 7-year-old daughter is just learning with Dad's help and loved the one you did with your wife. Yeah, dude, that's a good idea. I think I will. Yeah, well, I won't get into the attitudes of my children, but let's just say I got a couple of them that are a challenge. So, I can't take them both at the same time. Let's just put it that way. I got to fishing pole wolf on smashed in. I don't know what that means, Chris. Sorry. Congrats on your 3rd place finish, Gene. Thanks, Steven. Appreciate it, man. That was good. That was a nice little check. I think I got $700-800, and I bought more cameras. I just put it back into the business. Have you ever fished in the Martinsville, Virginia area? I don't think I have. I lost my Lucky Craft 15. The lake is 17 feet deep. What crankbait should I use? Thanks. A 5XD is what I would be, and I'm very familiar with Strike King baits. Not sponsored by them, but I'm very, very familiar with how they run. It's a 5XD and a 6XD are the 2 that you'd be looking for with Strike King. The other ones I'd be shooting from the hip, man. So any other brand and stuff like that, I'm not sure of. Stefan asks, he says, it's been a while. Have you watched an MLF, and what do you think about it, and would you like to try it? Dude, I love it. And I missed the one today because I was out fishing with my son, but I love the format. I love the intensity of it. I love talking to the guys about it, the guys that are actually fishing it, and they love it. It's just one of those things, man. I would love to see it get down into the grassroots, and we were able to do it. That'd be one of those things that I would actually probably go back to fishing tournaments for, because I'm really good at finding a lot of fish, and so it'd be right in my wheelhouse. My son and I specifically we had a spot today where we were catching giants, and because we're starting a tournament tomorrow, I mean we caught 5 fish in 10 casts, and they were all big, and so yeah, we left them, and I love finding spots like that. So yeah, dude. It'd be a lot of fun, Stefan. Thanks for the question. Matthew Zamaron, sorry. Love your videos. Every time I see a new one, I get pumped for my next trip to the lake. You guys, man, I love that. That's so awesome. I really have been struggling with motivation lately, and I'll be straight up, flat out honest with you. It's you know, I struggled with depression years ago, and I started getting medicated, and I decided recently that I was going to get off my medication just because I was tired of the headaches, and so something I've been struggling with. But anyway, this trip today that I took out with my son lets me know that I need to get back to being serious about making videos, even if it's just videos with me and him fishing. It was a blast, and he wants to help me. He wants to video with me. So you guys are going to see a lot more videos, and I've got like 10 in the till getting edited right now. So don't think I haven't shot any videos. I just haven't been motivated to go and do some, do the old school fluke stuff. And to be honest with you, and I know there's probably 3 or 4 of my sponsors watching, I'm tired of sponsors just making me do stuff that I don't really want to do. I just want to go back to teaching videos, teaching people how to fish, which is what I do the best. And I still am going to use sponsor stuff. I'm still going to do that kind of stuff. But I'm feeling swamped right now with that kind of stuff, and I don't know why it is. But anyway, I'll have to find that balance somewhere, I guess. All right, last few questions. We're a couple minutes over, and I'd like to go up and say goodnight to my children. Would you ever recommend financing a bass boat or buy used with all cash? Man, do what you can afford. Financing a new one is a good idea, just because it's still under warranty and you got all that other stuff, and you can finance it till you can afford it. But I never suggest getting into debt 100%. If you can buy one with all cash and it's a good one and you have it checked out by a mechanic and so on and so forth, do it, man. But don't buy a piece of junk. My father-in-law did that several years ago, and he put more money into that boat than he would have if he bought a brand new one. So really, really be careful with it. Have you ever fished Kentucky Lake or Barkley? If so, where is the good spots to kayak fish? The south end of Lake Barkley is my favorite place to kayak fish in that whole area. It just always seems to be fish up in that area. So, Aaron Noble says, my live stream schedule. My live stream schedule is easy. Almost all Friday nights at 9 o'clock is where I'll be right here. At 9 o'clock from 9 to 10 Eastern time. Every Friday night. Unless something crazy goes on. Last Friday was my dog sick, my son's birthday, graduation, a whole bunch of stuff going on at the same time. So I decided that I wasn't going to try to fit Friday Night Live in, but normally I'm on every Friday night and have been doing it for over a year now. So get Jake Fromm in a kayak, go Dogs. Man, that might not be a bad idea. So, all right. Well, last question. Let's see. Fishing a tournament on Lake Fork next weekend. Any advice? Oh, Craig, you lucky dog. I love that lake, and I haven't been there in years, in a coon's age. They should be deep, and I don't know a whole lot about this time of the year. I fish them I always fished it pre-spawn, but they should be deep on the ends of points, and then they'll be, I'll look at the bottom contour first, and then look at the trees. So I look for points, end of points on the steep side, and then I look for the trees is what I'd be doing. So. All right, guys, I appreciate you. I love every one of you. Thank you for watching my videos. Please stay you know, stay supportive. I'm going to do everything I can to get some more videos out. And like I said, my editor's got a whole bunch of them right now, so you're going to see some cool stuff. But about to start kicking off some more boating videos as soon as I get my Alumacraft Pro 185 rigged up. Should take a couple more weeks because of the time of year. And then you're going to see some kayak fishing videos here shortly. So, like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach